Welcome to America's Heroes Group.
We have America's Heroes Group Roundtable with a partner and sponsor, National Nurses United. Today is Saturday, February 19th, 2022. February is Black History and American Heart Month. Take care of your heart and the hearts of the loved ones you have. It's not too far from Valentine's Day, so make sure you go for that checkup for the heart and make it a regular routine. America's Heroes Group Roundtable partner National Nurses United has a person that is really special for us. So we'll introduce her in a moment. But you can also follow, join us on streaming live on Facebook. Like and share as much as you can. But we have our host, Kelley. I am his co-host, Colonel Dr. Damon Arnold. The executive producer is Glenda Smith. And our digital media producer is Ivan Ortega of Scouts Honor Production. So today we have Adelena Marshall, a VA mental health nurse, and she is an RN extraordinaire. She has been taking care of our veterans for several decades, and she knows what our veterans need and has really been compassionate and empathetic in making sure that people get taken care of, gone over the duty with doing extra hours on our own time to make sure our veterans are taken care of. We have to say we are blessed to have her taking care of us. Today's discussion is the disparities of blacks in nursing. And this is something that we can, automatically see as we go into hospitals in many different entities and, in many different settings, the private sector. And in the VA, it's really astounding that we don't have as many people represented in the healthcare field, in both medicine and in nursing, and even our transporters and people who are working in the X-ray equipment and that kind of thing. But today we're going to be focusing on blacks in nursing. So it is such an honor to have you on, Adelena. I'm going to lean back and listen to all the stuff you have to say because you're always a wealth of information.
Thank you very much, and what a great program that iHeartRadio American Heroes offer for our listening public and our veterans. So we want to talk about disparity in nursing, and when you look back at the history of nursing, many of the nurses end up in the military, actually, where they started getting their first chance. But many of the schools from the 1800s on have refused to admit blacks into their nursing program. And Providence was one of the training schools developed here in the Chicago area to educate black doctors and nurses, and also to care for health care of black public at that time. So going forward, we're still really experiencing some of the same issues. Many of the schools, the programs are limited seating due to educators not having enough nurses to teach nurses. But also one of the most, disturbing area is the fact that there are hospitals that will not hire registered nurses, will not hire them who have associate degrees. And those same nurses take the same boards as a nurse who has a bachelor's or master's degree. We take the same boards, but they don't want to hire them. And it appears that many of our nurses, our veterans too, enter the nursing program at that level of the junior colleges. They produce very good nurses. We need bedside nurses, nurses who tend to get more advanced degrees, want to go into management, into teaching, many other fields that have opened up for nurses. And I do believe that the associate degree nurse will be the ones that end up staying at the bedside to deliver that care. And with many of our population now aging, the baby boomers will be needing more health care services. We need bedside nurses. I feel also that they're not hiring nurses who have associate degrees because it tends to be minority nurses who will start an associate degree program. Mm-hmm. I do know nurses who started an associate degree and they went on to get their doctorate. but that was their entry into nursing, into becoming an RN. And most of those are decent paying jobs at the beginning, and it helps people get a step up, and then they can continue their education once they're hired. Most of the hiring, they want to look at your experience. They don't really look at your education. They look at what experience you're bringing to the table, which is, very important. You can have a nurse who is highly educated, who never, during her educational, doing her education travels, I'll say, going from one school to another, and never even did bedside care, never did patient care. Because many times they'll go from their bachelor's straight into a master's, and when they want to become an NP, and they never even touched a patient.
Wow.
So your experience is very important. And we have nurses who go into associate degree who've already been health techs and LPNs. And so they know all the basics of nursing. The associate degree then gives them some of the advanced skill sets that they need.
Yeah.
And so I have advocated for hiring of associate degree nurses. And I think sometimes also when you're looking at some of the ads that are out now and recruiting nurses, they don't have many nurses who look like me in those ads. They don't have many nurses that look like the population that we serve in those ads.
Right.
So that tends to send a negative connotation.
Yeah,
And
that makes a lot of sense. And and when you're saying that, it sort of makes me think about, there's so many African American hospitals that have closed, over the last 10, 15 years, and that the opportunities for us to, get those residencies, to get those nursing positions where you get the training, are dwindling and are being really co-opted. They're being controlled by by those institutions, and they're not allowing people who have the cultural competency and do not have the implicit bias in the way that they conduct themselves from getting those positions. And so if you want to save some money, hire someone who already has the cultural competency and has an image, like you're saying, of those people that are out there serving within those communities.
Right. Our veterans, many of veterans who come into the medical field, they've started off in the Army and other departments of the military as medics and stuff, and then they'll go into nursing. And so, again, the associate degree offers them the earliest entry into the nursing to the nursing field. So when they're denied that, our veterans are being denied, our minorities are being denied, when the hospitals won't hire them. So some nurses get very stressed. I've been in situations and I thought, wow, I've never been able, literally, think about this, to go to a job place and know that I'm going to get the job because of the color of my skin. And it's the same thing in nursing. But there are others who can decide exactly where they want to go work, and they're hired there. Mm-hmm. For many of us, we're hired at hospitals that hopefully will hire us. We don't get to choose where we're going to work. Mm-hmm. We're placed there because that's the work that we can get. But I have seen and talked to many nurses who are not minorities, and they'll say, well, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go there, and they absolutely do get a job there. Not because their qualifications are any different than mine, not because they're a better nurse than I am, but basically due to color of their skin.
That's shameful, and even when you talk about people who are, within the veteran population, right, who are in the medical field as well, that's the same kind of obstacle they face as well, in getting employment, and it's something that is just critically wrong. It is, this is African American History Month, and we talk about Martin Luther King, and he talks about, the content of one's character. How can you call yourself this great people who have never served will run down the street with flags and, all the different celebrations, 4th of July and Veterans Day and those kinds of things. And it's good to see that support for the military. But, if they've never served, how can you, portray yourself as, defending a democracy and all these principles we have that are constitutionally embedded, and you still practice discriminatory hiring practices? Your business is not opening up in the medical field, particularly, that you're not going to be hiring people because of their skin color. That is just absolutely sinful.
And with the critical shortages all over the world of medical staff and especially of nurses, for them to still practice this is really an affront to the patient. Yes. There are a few patients who may have an objection to people of color caring for them, but overall, I've never experienced a patient who was in life that did not want the comfort and the care that a nurse would provide to them during this period of time. It didn't matter then, what their color of their skin is. But as in the hiring process, it matters. At the bedside, it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I had that same experience too, with practicing medicine. One of the things I used to say, because I used to run the Illinois Department of Public Health back in 2007 to 11, and people would walk in and they say, "This is my first day. What should I do? What's the first thing I should do?" And I would tell them, "I want you to take, one of these imaginary push pins off of my board that I had on the wall, and what I want them to do is to figuratively hold it in their hand, and to erase the color, the kind of clothes they think that pen has on, what kind of music it likes, what it likes to eat, what its ethnicity is, everything about the gender, remove everything, and then open your hand and realize you have a human life in your hand. And if you can't do that, the first step you should do is to walk out the door. This is the wrong place for you." So as administrators and people who are owning businesses, who are making these decisions about who to hire, if you are still doing that with a discriminatory practice, or you need to walk out the office and leave it alone. This is not the place for you. You're unethically and morally and is characterized the wrong kind of person for that job. So that's a statement I have to make just in general about the hiring practices in the medical field.
Yeah, that's very good. I'm going to use that. Other thing came to my mind while you were talking about that is also promotion. We have a practice of our proficiency, and we've been just even recently talking about that, how it needs to be changed because it's part of the systemic racism. So we get nurses who, English is not their first language, and we have many American-born blacks who are not prolific writers. And therefore they're passed over for even getting a bonus for work that they've been doing the whole year, that they should be acknowledged. But if you don't capture every single thing and put it on there, people who have someone to write that proficiency for them, then they may get promoted while others will be there for years and wonder, why not me? And part of that is to hold people back. And I've seen it, and it has been a sticking point with me to the fact that we were just recently talking with the union about offering training for our nurses and help them to write this proficiency. This proficiency does not judge you on your abilities. It's not judging you on the care that you've developed and have provided for our veterans. It really just judges you on how you're writing, how that manager may or may not like you. And many times they don't like the black nurse because we're advocate, we're vocal. We're going to no, this isn't right. What else can we do? And so that proficiency gives them the ability to discriminate in that way. It's systemic. And it's hard for management to see this because nobody is breaking it down to them. But how do you have a nurse who's been there for 10 years and can't never seem to move from a nurse 1 to a nurse 2 or a 3? Why? They come to work, they do an excellent job, their patients are recovering. Many of the patients love them because we get a lot of same patients all the time. They look forward to coming to the VA because they know of the care that we're going to provide them.
That's right.
But they don't see the other side.
Yeah, and that implicit bias causes blind spots because you don't see things, and and that's one of the things that people have to realize is that this is it's almost like a disease process in that it actually affects your brain and the way you think when you see someone of color. If you're already automatically putting them into a position that they are of lesser quality, you have a problem because there are many people who are of high quality that we know about in history, and we know about that work every day, like you said, that are doing a wonderful job. And so
I've actually had a manager when I challenged him about his hiring practice. And he said, "You want me to hire the best, don't you, for the veterans?" And I said, "Well, how would you know if you're hiring the best if you're only hiring, a certain ethnicity of nurses? How do you know that?"
Oh, well, you just opened a can of worms for me because when they were talking about getting the next Supreme Court justice, right, African-American woman, right, and they were saying, you have to look at all the candidates and my question to they said, because you have to make sure you get the best qualified one, right? And the thing that came to my mind was in the past when you were taking all the white men to fill this role, you never looked at a black woman or a black man or an Asian man that maybe they were better than the ones you had. So maybe these Supreme Court justices were second rate, but you never even considered them.
Right.
So now you want to consider things.
Yeah. So there were departments that did not have staff of different skin tones, and we challenged them. And there's one thing about a union, we look at everybody as the same. So if you can't see me, how do you see what I do? How do you see the delivery of care that I deliver? How do you see the classes that I've taken to improve my delivery of care, to improve my education? If you don't see me, you're not going to see all of those things. And that impacts my pocket because if you're not seeing that and it's not being on my proficiency and you're not giving credit for that on the proficiency, then you are also impacting my livelihood and the livelihood of my family.
Yeah. Because I've gone to different, situations and, different VAs, around the country where, I had to, seek a little bit of care because of, I was in the military 26 years. And then I was looking around. It's like, in my unit, we had, a significant African-American presence. And then I would go into the hospital, and it's like, where did they go? Because I didn't see anyone of color in those hospitals or in nursing or in medicine or in X-ray or anywhere. And I was really shocked and surprised at that.
So you can't say the education level at a junior college level is any different than any place else because you get the same professors. The same professors that are teaching over the University of Illinois will be teaching over at Malcolm X or DuPage College. You're getting the same professors. The only thing is when you graduate, you don't have that advanced degree. You haven't taken the liberal arts classes. But I don't get many patients who want to talk to me about Picasso and other artists and philosophy and things like that. They want me to know about their health care, and I have to educate them on their health care so that when they leave, they will have more insight and be able to care for themselves in a different light, to eat better, to exercise, to look for these signs and symptoms. If you need us, please come back early. Don't come back late. Come back early so that we can intervene at an earlier point in this disease process.
Okay. Yeah, we only have about 3 minutes to go, but particularly in the mental health arena that you're in, how do you see this impacting that particular issue? Because many of our veterans, feel estranged when they walk in, and if you're African American and you don't see someone that recognizes who you are, may already have biases or implicit biases about what you're saying to them.
So some of our mental health issues are impacted differently because of communities and poverty and many other things that, not to say that don't exist in other communities, but I have to be able to relate to my patient. I have to be able to talk to him or her.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be able to feel connected to me. Sometimes I can connect with them over a Temptation song or, a food item that we generally like to eat. And, we could talk about how to, make our greens and stuff healthier.
Oh, just your life experiences, yeah.
Yeah, life experiences. And if we have staff who cannot relate to them, well, what are we doing? We're just medicating them. We're not getting to the core of some of their concerns and how to provide them with better coping skills. If this happened, how to say no. How there's 1,000 ways to say no. How can we say that in our community language, the language that we use in our community? So it goes far-reaching. And I'm really, really happy to say I have a friend, and her son and daughter-in-law went to medical school, and I ended up interesting them into becoming psychiatrists and psychologists. One's psychiatrist, one's a psychologist. Mm-hmm. And we need more. I cannot say enough. We need more people from our community going into those areas of healthcare.
Yeah, we're running down on time. So where's a place that people can go to find out more about this thing about the mental health issues? Because we have a lot of veterans who need to come forward, and they're afraid or to talk. And
we need our veterans to just reach out to the VA. There's also the 1-800 number if they are contemplating self-harm.
Okay.
I always tell my patients, let's not make a haste decision. Let's sleep. Let's talk about it. Reach out to somebody there's somebody out there who will talk to you. And there is a lot. The VA, our emergency room is open 24/7. We have walk-in clinics. Please, please, please come in if you're feeling challenged in any aspect of your life.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Adelena. I'm telling you, America's Heroes Group Roundtable would not be the same without that partner and sponsor, National Nurses United. You are fantastic, Adelena. Marshall, you take care of our veterans. You take care of their spiritual needs as well as their mental health needs and their physical needs. And we need more nurses like you that look like you.
Yes, we do.
Out here in this field.
Yeah, because she's
They're
telling the
out
facts.
there. They just got to hire them.
She's telling the facts
Yeah.
based on what needs to be addressed.
They need to be hired.
Yes, so bravo, Adelena. Great show. Absolutely today. Phenomenal.